Yeah. Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I said good morning. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your man, KaleafWins. Welcome to the Morning Motivation Show. You heard? I hope everybody's having a great new start to their week. Let's have a great week. This is the Morning Motivation Show. This is called the Quick Pick Me Up segment. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's work. No matter how lonely I get on my journey, I will not re-invite toxic people back into my life. That's a fact. Stop wasting your time on people who treat you good one day, then act like you don't exist the next. That's a fact. Only compare yourself to your previous self. Ain't that a fact? You are bigger than what is making you anxious, so don't let nothing stress you out today. Have a great day. That's a fact, you heard? Change is hard at first, messy in the middle, and gorgeous at the end. Receive that. Stop imagining fake scenarios and hurting your own feelings. Oh, ain't that a fact? You can forgive some people without welcoming them back into your life. Apology accepted, access denied. That's a fact. Hey, happy morning, good morning, what's up? Hey, good morning, what's up? Good morning, what's up? What's going on, everybody? My name is KaleafWins, the host of the Morning Motivation Show. Every Mondays and Wednesdays, this is how we get it popping. Let's go. Happy morning. Hey, remember, you are allowed to feel messed up inside and out. It doesn't mean you're defective. It just means you're human. That's a fact. If you are depressed, you're living in the past. If you're anxious, you're living in the future. If you're at peace, you're living in the present. That's a fact. Your past experiences do not determine your future. Give yourself another chance. Let's stop being hard on ourselves today, people. That's a fact. Nothing is as chaotic as it seems. Nothing is worth your health. Nothing is worth poisoning yourself with stress, anxiety, and fear. Smile, breathe, and go slowly. That's a fact. And like we always say at the end of my first segment of my first part of the show for the Morning Motivation Show, today is my day no matter what. I won't let any hater in my office get me down. I won't let myself stress me out. I decide today to have a great day. I repeat, today is my day no matter what. Repeat after me. I won't let any hater at my office get me down. I won't let any hater in my house get me down. I won't let any hater in the text get me down. I won't let me stress myself out. And today I decide to have a great day. What's up? What's going on, everybody? It's your man, KaleafWins, streaming live from New York on multiple platforms. This is the Morning Motivation Show. My show is about a great alternative to the toxicity of the net. No, I ain't super happy-go-lucky. I'm just real, and I keep it 100 at all times. But I created this show because in the morning when I would wake up, I would be at my most stressed, thinking about my worries of the day, thinking about all the stuff that I have to do, feeling kind of bad about the day before. So I needed an outlet. I couldn't find it, so I had to make my own door. And I want one more time, everybody, starting their morning up today, repeat this after me. Today is my day no matter what. I won't let any hater at my office get me down. I won't let any hater in my life get me down. I won't let me stress myself out. And I decide today to have a great day. Listen. How's your Monday morning going? What's that new week, new mindset going on right now? Listen, today's show is simply called Episode 22, How to Get Past Your Fears So You Can Get What You Want. I repeat, how can we get past that block in our area to get to what we want? So before you go to work today, before you start today, let's start with how I usually start the show. Let me set up the topic off right. Let's go.
My biggest fear is that I don't have everything figured out. I don't have everything under control. That frightens me because I feel that I have to have everything figured out right here, right now. And if I don't, I lose my mind. I go back to old habits. I go back to old thought patterns that does not serve me and that can damage me. Me trying to overcome my biggest fears is realizing that I won't have everything figured out. Sometimes I won't have everything under control.
Your goal should not be to never feel fear again, because the truth is, as long as you and I are on this earth, we're going to feel fear. But what you should say, and your goal should be, is I'm going to confront these fears. And although it may be hard to do at times, it is not impossible. And there's some of you, you've allowed fears to take over your life for far too long, and today is the day that it needs to stop.
A major theme in my life right now is feeling the fear, but doing it anyway. Being comfortable in the uncomfortable. I'm scared of what would happen. I'm scared of how someone's gonna respond. But by feeling the fear and doing it anyway, you're overcoming your fear. Once you realize that rejection is simply redirection, rejection is protection. So next time you're feeling rejection or you're having this fear of rejection coming up, realize that you are not losing anything.
Facts.
And now you no longer have a fear of the unknown because you know, you asked, you took the chance, you didn't assume, and now you could let go of doubt and being confused. Yeah, it sucks. You may have not have gotten the outcome that you truly desired. But just remember, the universe is on your side. The universe knows exactly what you need and what you don't need. And that rejection is the universe telling you, you deserve much better.
Facts.
Fear, it is a natural human emotion. None of us are immune. We all feel fear. And the thing about fear is a lot of the time, it can just paralyze us. It can make us so inert. We want to move towards our goals and the things that we desire, but we just feel so paralyzed and overcome by fear that we just stop dead in our tracks and don't move forward at all. The thing about fear is it makes us over catastrophize what could go wrong rather than actually thinking about how amazing it will be when we reach our goal.
You heard what she said? Over catastrophize. That is a fire word, but let's listen on.
So I just wanted to share one thing very quickly is to overcome fear is actually take action. So take a step in the direction of your goals and the direction of your dreams. That one thing, just taking small little incremental steps towards your goal will really help you build your self-belief, build self-trust, and start to soothe that level of fear.
That's about how life wants you to live in alignment. It's not trying to make you miserable. The stuckness that you feel is where life is trying to teach you something. We make ourselves miserable when we don't listen to the friction. We don't see it for what it is, and when we avoid it. And I think we avoid it because sometimes facing it can be really fucking scary. But it made me realize that our own fear is literally the only thing that's in our way.
That's crazy. Today's topic of the show is how to get past our fears to get what we want. And I'm not going to hold you. How many of you watching have allowed little worries in your chest, little things in your mind to block you from what you want to get? And year after year, we just say, yo, I want to do this. I want to do this. But every year we disappoint ourselves. Every year we get stressed out. And listen, this topic came about because I was having a conversation with my homegirl, Takia, and we were talking about individual fears and personal fears inside. And I was like, yo, I've been wanting to talk about this for a while, but how do I address it? But before I do so, let me give a shout out to everybody in the check-in. Big shout out to DPD Collection up in the house. Good morning, brother. And if you want to support black businesses, this is DPD Collection's hat right here. Go search it on TikTok. Search the shop, DPD The Collection. Damien Perspective Designs. Big shout out to you, brother. Big shout out to the homie, Ross Loco. Yo, what's going on? What's going on? And everybody else, this is your man, KaleafWins, live from New York City, streaming live on multiple platforms. This is the Morning Motivation Show. I'm your host. Today, we're going to talk about how to get past the things that really block everything we want in our life. This topic, I avoided it like the plague. I avoided it because I have certain fears in my life. You have certain fears in your life as you're watching this, and you really know you can do something, but we just be blocking ourselves. And especially before we go to work in the morning, especially before we go to work. Oh, that's you, Angie? Oh, I see you, Angie, with the disguise. Oh, it's me, bro. She got the sneak pages, on the low pages. I see you, sis. And there's a lot of things that I want to do, but things have been blocking me year after year after year. And guess what? Sometimes we block ourselves, and while everybody's on the way to go to their job today, maybe it's not the job we want because we settled. Have you thought about that? Maybe it's not the career that we want because we just settle because we're scared to do what we really want to do. Listen, before I start the show, big shout out to my organization, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Big shout out to my sorors, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Everybody, listen, think about it. Fear, and it all starts here. Check this out. We want to create change in our life. And I looked this up for myself, and I asked myself, how is change created? You're like, really, how can I make the change to get past what I'm scared of right now to doing what I want to do? Now, mind you, I have the Morning Motivation Show. I love doing this show. I've conquered that fear. But when you are a goal getter, meaning a person that's trying to get after goals in your life, you have to say, you know what? I want to get this in life. I want to go to this level. And I had to really look at, let me just break down, what does change look like? Because sometimes we get in our own head. And the best way I get out of my own mindset, my own mental block, is I got to find out how change occurs. And look at this graph right here. It all starts with that one area. Whoop, here's right here. This area. First is the idea. Then it's our thoughts. Then it's our feelings. Then we plan to make change. Then we start creating habits. Then we stay committed to those habits. And then it becomes part of our lifestyle. And that's when we actually change. Literally, I created I've located this chart because I really want to find out, how can I really make the change that I want to in my life? And I've been stuck. I don't know where you guys are. I'm always stuck at the kind of like the step 5 to 6, because that's creating a habit and then creating a commitment. Where are the areas in your life that you feel that you're stuck in this change diagram? I repeat, let's start at the beginning. We all have ideas. We want to do certain things in our life. Then we keep on having thoughts about it. We obsess about it before we go to sleep, when we wake up, while we're at that job that we hate. We think about what we really want to do. But then some of us, and I've been this way years prior, I was stuck between step 3 and step 4. My feelings about wanting what I want to do in my life, and then planning. And then sometimes we get paralysis by analysis. We write out the plan and we're like, I'm with this plan. We get super excited. But then there's that step 4 to 5, how can I create the habits that I need to get what I want? Let me give you an example. Everybody that's going to work on the way to work today, if you're at work today, you know what I'm talking about. You know that job might not be for you. You know in your gut, you're really good at that job. You really can do that job, but you don't want to spend your life literally for the next 20 years of your life saying, you know what? I went to school, or I didn't go to school. I got this job. It pays well. I'll stay here for 20 years and get my pension and my retirement and I'm fine. You know you want more than that. But there are things that you know you can do, but you fear it. And like me, I quit my last job. I was like, it's a dub. I got tired of doing that because I wanted to do what I'm doing right now. Have my shows online, multiple places on YouTube. If you support my channel, please hit me up in my link in bio. Please subscribe to my YouTube. But here it is. How is change created? And we have our ideas. That's great. We have our thoughts. That's great. We have our feelings. That's great. Now we have to plan. We write down the plan. Great. Then we have to implement the plan. Then we make it a habit. And I think steps 5 through 6 are initially difficult. They initially suck. You know what I'm saying? They're just initially horrible. But if we keep at it, that commitment starts becoming part of our lifestyle. And that starts becoming part of our change. Now let's flip through and let's talk about it. Here's why you should always face your fears. And this is what I have to say to myself. I said, I need something that I can look at every day that can help me get out of my head and start facing my fears. Let's start with the first area. Fear is a natural reaction to moving closer to the truth. Woo, that's a fact. Never let the fear striking out keep you from playing the game, the things you want in your life. Do the thing that you fear the most, and the depth of fear is certain. That's a fact. I want to stop here. That's what I've learned with this morning motivation show. I do it every Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 a.m. Eastern time, like dead in the morning. It became a commitment. I'm in steps 5 to 6 as a habit. Now I'm in commitment stage. I'm committed in the show. But the thing I noticed that destroys any fear within myself is that I have to take daily action towards what I want. And that is true. Do the thing that you fear, and the death of fear is certain. Fear does not shut you down. It wakes you up to really what you want. Fear is not your enemy. It's a compass pointed to the areas that you need to grow. Now, listen, I'm not with the motivational fluff. I'm not that type of person, because I believe people that try to motivate the world, some of them just might be capping. I'm not. Listen, this is a daily process. It's like changing your diet in terms of facing your fears. It's like getting into the mindset of a lifestyle. What are things that you changed in your lifestyle that you don't do from 10 years ago that you do now? That is the same thought process when it comes to making change and facing your fears. And it says fear is not your enemy. It's a compass pointing you to the areas where you need to grow. And that's a fact. Action cures fear. It's worked for me. Anytime I take action towards doing something that scares the crap out of me, it lessens the fear of just doing it in general. Really think about that. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Whoa! These are some things that I'm using to get my mind straight. Anytime I'm scared about something every day in terms of getting goals, I'm going to have this pad, and you guys can run this video back and play it if you need it. I have learned over the years that when one's mind is made up, this diminishes here. That's from Rosa Parks. And here is the area that stops a lot of us. Procrastination. No, let me say it correctly. Procrastination destroys any type of dream and opportunity we want. And we all suffer a certain degree of procrastination. Listen, this procrastination cycle chart that I found helped me. This is what we all do. We want to do something, then we procrastinate. Then we feel guilty about not doing what we want to do. Then we get into a panic mode. And then to make ourselves feel better, we make excuses about not doing what we really want to do. And then we go right back to procrastination. I don't know about y'all, but I was stuck in this cycle for years. I was like, yo, I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to have this type of life. I want to have my own show on YouTube and all this before the Morning Motivation Show started. But I kept on saying, oh, it's too hard. It's too difficult. And I'll tell everybody this one thing. Anytime you do what you're trying to do, what you're passionate about, you will face a ridiculous amount of resistance in your mind, a ridiculous amount of resistance with your family. It's going to resist you because I think God wants to see, or the universe wants to see how bad you really want to do it. And a lot of times procrastination in my life, I can say this, I don't know about y'all's, but it becomes like a false comfort area and why we're not facing what we fear. And with that said, let me run something so you guys can understand fear at a different level. Let me just run it right quick.
It's necessary. Fear tells you when you're stepping outside your comfort zone. The problem that you're experiencing and why it is stopping you from doing what you really want to do is because you lack understanding. You don't know how to deal with the fear. You need to understand that fear is based on ignorance. You are experiencing the emotion of fear because you keep thinking thoughts that are based on doubt and worry. You just don't know what you don't know. You've never done it before. Number two, you need to get the right information. You need to understand what you're trying to do. When you understand, you're going to be able to overcome the fear. And number three, you need to have a strong purpose. There's got to be a big reason on why you're going to do what you're going to do. So when the fear strikes, the obsession and the desire for what you want is more powerful than the fear.
Your fear is pointing out that you care, that you have dreams, that you have aspirations. And that is such an exciting era to be in.
What you focus on is everything. Any given moment, there's 1,000 things going wrong. There's also 1,000 things going right. You need to decide what thoughts you're going to pick up, what thoughts you're going to focus on that are going to actually take your life in the direction you want to go. And you know, if you really stop to think about it, you will know if I keep focusing on this and how, like, I can't do that. I'm too scared. I can't make TikToks. I no way would I put myself out there like that. Everyone will think I'm an idiot. Blah, 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 blah. That's going to lead to all those emotions, more fear, more doubt, more shame, more guilt, more embarrassment, whatever, that's going to keep you from taking any action. Versus if you choose thoughts like, of course I'm going to fall on my face. Everyone falls on their face at first. That's how you learn. I'm going to have my own back no matter what. I can feel any emotion, right? And you take your mind to this place of believing in yourself, believing that the only way to get better at something is to suck it first and keep doing it. That's how it works. So you take your mind to that better place. So you're taking control of your mind. When you take control of your mind, you take control of your emotions. When you take control of your emotions, you take control of your actions. When you take control of your actions, you now have power over your own results.
I just simply don't let fear rob me of my purpose. So many of us have things that we want to do, but we let the idea of fear really cripple us. I just never allowed that to be the case. You know, everybody experiences fear, but the difference between you and the person that's living their dream and doing the things that they want to do is because they don't let the idea of fear stop them from chasing and pursuing their purpose. You have to be so deep in your purpose that it doesn't matter what sort of uncomfortability you feel, you're gonna go and do it. So I'm gonna let you and your temporary feelings about me stop me from pursuing and achieving the goals that I want to achieve. You gotta be crazy.
You gotta be crazy. You gotta be crazy. You gotta be crazy. Yo, that's it right there. Like, think about what was said thus far. The beginning of that video was talking about it's what we perceive in our mind, and it's with the information that we have in our brain as to why we stay stuck in that fear stasis. And then towards the end, it's talking about taking action and purposefully sucking at first, meaning you're not going to be great at doing something at first. And then at the end, and I'm going to run this part back right quick, right here. Let me run this back.
Feelings about me stop me from pursuing you and your. It doesn't matter what sort of uncomfortability you feel, you're gonna go and do it. So I'm gonna let you and your temporary feelings about me stop me from pursuing and achieving the goals that I want to achieve. You gotta be crazy.
A fear is necessary.
That's a fact. Think about it. Like, where is the root of all of our fears? And big shout out to Kia on the check-in. Big shout out to Infinite Talks podcast with Eric Castillo. Please follow him on Spotify and subscribe to his podcast. I'll put their comments up in a second. But when I was talking to my homegirl Kia yesterday, I think, God and the universe will bring people in your life to just say, yo, you wanted to talk about this, but I was avoiding talking about this topic. I was avoiding it for like 2 weeks. I was like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Because I would feel like a hypocrite that I have not gone to a particular level of facing the fear. And then I thought about it when she said, yeah, we're facing our fears. Like, you know what? I'm going to talk about it. Because I faced my fears with having this morning motivation show a while back. I said, no, who would want to hear what I want to say? No, why do I suck and I'm horrible at this? Yo, listen, you always suck at something that you begin. And I began this show like about 6 months ago on TikTok and things of that nature. But then after a while, I was like, nah. There's a purpose. And think about what they just said in the video. When you lock onto your purpose so much as to why you want to do something, you don't focus on your fear as much. But before I continue, let's get into some comments on the check-in. Infinite Podcast, Eric Castillo says, love this, bro. Love you too, fam. Everybody subscribe to his podcast on Spotify. To Kia Howard, this big Kia. Those with ADD and ADHD need accountability partners, and small lists are better. That's a fact. And if anybody wants to come up in this chat and just have a quick discussion, I'm going to put the link in the comments. Hopefully you see it. If you want to have a quick check-in on this topic, so I just put the link if you want to come up in this topic. But that's true. She says, those with ADD and ADHD need accountability partners, and small lists are better. How do I know that to be true? Because I have been suffering with ADHD since I've been a kid. But I'm thankful that music and, DJing and things of that nature helped me, consolidate my short attention span into doing something. And now that I'm into content creation, that helps me as well. But everybody needs something. We do need like smaller lists and accountability partners. I purposefully have accountability partners. I'm like, yo, I'm about to do this week. Please keep me accountable. If you see me slacking, text me or call me ASAP and keep me on my toes. We have to have accountability partners. Let's go to another comment. Infinite Talks podcast says, I can definitely say I was in that situation years ago. It held me back so much. So I've been better about facing fear, and I've seen how it propels me a lot faster when I embrace it and go through it. That's a fact. Listen, this is a conversation that we all need to have, because the more information that we can get about this, the better that we are to do what we want to do. But let me bring on a guest this morning. I don't know if we get Kia with the bonnet or Kia with the slick back. I don't know what we're going to get, but good morning, everybody. Welcome to Kia to the chat. Real quick, how you doing, sis? What's going on with you? How are you?
I'm doing well. Good morning. Good morning.
Look at this. You're ready. She's ready to go. She's ready to go. So how are you doing? And tell me how you feel about the topic and expound on what you expounded on previously.
I think this is a great topic. I think this is an issue that a lot of people face, and half of the time they don't understand why they facing it. That's why they hit that brick wall of fear. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I've learned with myself It's because I suffer from anxiety. And the only way outside of meds that I can control this anxiety is to gain an understanding. It's usually anxiety is fed from fear. The fear of the unknown, the fear of the ignorance, and all of that. If you're unsure of what is to come, that's when people get anxious. And usually when people get anxious, that's when nothing gets done.
Let me get back to that procrastination cycle chart that I just showed earlier. That's a fact.
Right.
And that's why I'm glad that she came up, and anybody that wants to come up in this conversation to add to the conversation, great. I would love it. The thing is, we're all learning, we're all growing, and we can all learn from each other. Let's get to what you said earlier about smaller lists and accountability partners. What has that been for your experience?
Okay, so I know that my generation have been pushed and not diagnosed, right? Social promotion is a real thing, and a lot of people have been pushed up in the grades academically, not realizing that they're not learning on the way everyone else learned. I found this out later in my years. And I went through a lot of situations as an adult, and the anxiety kicked in and everything like that. And when I get overwhelmed, I don't even leave my bed.
Yeah, it's like that. I've been there.
So the accountability partner, sometimes they don't even have to say anything to you. If you do suffer with some form of ADD or ADHD, just having somebody in the room will make it so that you're going to do what needs to be done because somebody's watching you. If nobody's around to watch you, I'm going to stay in my bed and watch TV. Nobody's.
You know, it's a messed up example about what you just said that worked for me. And this is so, I cannot believe I'm saying this live on television. I'm saying, like, I'm gonna run his comment and I'm gonna talk about him for a second. DPD Collect says, for me, sometimes the hard part is once you recognize your fears, trying not to get afraid to deal with it. Let me give you a quick story before we get into his comment. When I was living in Chicago and I worked at a job, like I had it was a lot of women around me. And at the time I was in a relationship with my now wife, then girlfriend. And I would keep Mr. DPD Collection. Like, I'm like, yo, I'm having an event in my house, a large house party. It's going to be a lot of women there. It's at my loft. And I said, I'm going to need you to come through and watch me. Because I'll start a conversation and just watch me. You know what I'm saying? Just keep me accountable to my relationship. And like, I'm not going to lie, we played a drinking game. And mind you, it's a house. It was like 25 women, mostly women, and like 6 dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I got destroyed and hammered off this drink game. And I said, yo, fam, I'm going to bed. I need you to sit next to my bedroom door and make sure nobody doesn't come in. And for that whole night, he kept me accountable while people were beating down my door so that I would not cheat on my relationship. That's a horrible example, but it's a small example of accountability partner.
If anything, you just gave some men some ideas on how to remain in control when they fall victim to temptation. If you want to be loyal, you want to be faithful. If you have a real friend that can hold you accountable, then it's nothing wrong with that.
It's funny because I know he's laughing listening to this because I'm like, bro, just stand next to the door because, yo,
right. Sometimes you do need that. Stop playing. I ask my girls sometimes when I go, I'll be like, girl, please make sure I don't act like a hoe today. I say the same thing.
Make sure I don't act like a hoe today. That's an accountability part. I've been there. I'll be
like, girl, make sure I only have 2 drinks.
Yeah, for real. For me, sometimes the hard part is once you recognize your fears, trying not to get afraid to deal with it. And again, I don't know what works for you, Kia. I know what works for me. I have to always recenter daily. Like, what is my purpose? Because I get so focused on my purpose that it diminishes the goals. Hold on, he just put a comment. And I'm like, Yikes. You remember that? Yeah, I remember that because he was holding that. You remember how he was beating down the door? So like 3 drunk girls in particular beating down the door, and they were of the non-melanin characteristic. And
wow.
being in a different state, and you're a black man in a whole loft full of the non-melanated folk trying to beat down your door, I was like, no, I don't want to hear nothing. Nope, it's not happening. Let me get to this chart real quick so we can discuss this real quick. This whole how change is created. I'm a big infographic dude. I need to see things on infographic. What are the steps and areas, I guess, within your life that that used to be the hardest areas to go from step this to step that and aren't anymore, and how did you overcome them when it came to creating change? Step 1 is idea. Step 2 is thoughts. Then step 3 is your feelings about how you want to create change. Step 4 is plan. I don't know if you can see this chart. Step 5 is habits. Then step 6 is being committed. Then step 7, turning those habits to a lifestyle. And the step 8 is to making that change. At what point in this flow chart are you, like, have you been stuck at these points? And then how did you get past those points? What are the things that helped you?
Okay, I could answer this. I actually have a story, but now I'm just trying to open up the screen so I can see it better.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Let me see, because I'm blind. I'm sorry.
I got glasses too, sis. You tripping? While you get your glass on, the homie says, I got ADHD. Like, yo, I ain't gonna front. We all do. She said, but I'm also lazy. We have lazy points, though. You ain't the only one. But like literally, for me, let me talk about me, and then I'm gonna hear what you're gonna say. I'm always step 1 through 3. No, actually step 1 through 4, I've always been good at. I super plan, I super write. But I always sometimes I get stuck between 4 and 5, plan and then creating habits out of those plans, because there's a false comfortability with just writing things down and not doing them. Yeah, I wrote them down, but when am I creating a habit? Then when I start my habit, step 5 through 7, that's my other point that I'm like, oh, but then I work to it. When I get to step 6, it's a dub. I can easily do it. When it comes to you, what are steps that you were previously stuck between, but it become easier for you, and how did you get over those steps to create change to face those fears?
Okay, so I normally get stuck around the 5 through 8. I have an idea. I put my thoughts together. I identify the feelings associated with it, and I do create a plan. After that, I start over 1 through 5 all over again. Not 1 through 4. Starts over. I come up with a new idea. Come up with a set of thoughts around that. I'll have my feelings around that idea. I'll plan that out, and then I start over again with a new idea. So my issue is a lot of times don't ever finish through 1 through 8.
Now, this is the follow-up question, because I had to ask this of myself when I was coming up with this last night and writing this. I was doing research for myself because, again, like I said, I've avoided this topic like the plague. I've avoided this topic like the plague because, yes, I've achieved the hurdle of having my own YouTube channel. Then I achieved the hurdle of having a Morning Motivate show. Then I achieved the hurdle of taking this Morning Motivate show off of that platform like this and bringing it like this. And I had to learn how to use all this gear, learn how to create everything in the background, learn how to do everything by myself. Nobody helped me, for real, facts. Let me give myself a pat on the back for that, because that was a lot of work. Yes, and then I created the Making Better Track show. Great. Then I got other things in tow. Great. When it comes to certain things in my life and what I'm dealing with, I hate facing the fear because, like you said, there's comfort areas in these steps. My 1 through 4, always lit. Then it takes me a little bit to get to 5, but when I hit 6, it's a dub for me. When I was a kid, my 1 through 3, from 3 to 4, feelings, the plans, that was the hurdle. But then I got so infatuated with the results of that 8 that I fell back. And we all at different stages. I just want to say this to you because it helped me out yesterday when I wrote this up. I said, bro, what are the things that you really created super change on in your life in the past? How did it feel? And then do you remember that? So I ask you, what are 0.8 areas in your life that you've created the change needed? You can talk about the big one, but you know, we can get to that later. But what are the areas, or you can even bring up the big one if you want, that you've created? Then give me 3 good areas that you've created the change you needed to improve your life and you ain't on it anymore.
So the habit part.
Mm-hmm.
I realize if there's anything that I actually want to accomplish, I had to incorporate it in my day-to-day routine.
And why did you need to change? What was the drastic need to change?
Um, there was a sense of urgency. So I guess that's my issue. There has to be some urgency, fire under my behind, in order for me to get it done.
And isn't that for all of us though? That sense of urgency. What is the fire in our behind to do something? That's a fact. Continue.
So, right. So it was just one thing that I could say is something simple as going back to school.
Mm-hmm. That's a huge.
That's a huge issue that a lot of, I would say, people of likeness.
Man, black folk. Let's talk about it. A lot of our people. I'm not going.
A lot of our people have issues with doing. Not saying that you have to go back to school, you have to go to college. I'm not saying that it's a must and it's mandatory for life in order for you to be comfortable. No. But if what you're doing ain't working, then why not? But the fear is a failure. The fear is, am I gonna get bad grades? The fear is, am I gonna be able to live up to what the academia, the academics that they have in place? Am I gonna make it? Can I actually put this time in and graduate?
Or the biggest fear with a lot of us, I don't want to waste a whole bunch of cash and get put into debt.
That too. Yes.
That part.
That part.
That super part.
So it was an issue with me with school. Now my thing was, I was working as a nurse with medical assistant pay. So I was so determined that it makes no sense for me to still stay in this position, doing all of this work, having all of this knowledge, but not getting the pay for it. So I actually needed the credentials. So and that was just one piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
I could have been complacent and stay with that pay. But because of the situation that I was in with my relationship, that's where that sense of urgency came from.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to get out of my situation, and I needed to get out of it fast. I was drowning.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to put my fears aside, and I said I had to do what I had to do because it was no longer about me, but it was about my future and it was about my kids.
Mm-hmm. That sense of urgency.
Everybody
take note. Sense of urgency is a real thing. Real thing.
So it's when you're fed up, and when you're ready. So that's where that urgency comes from, and that's where that boost comes from, and that's when people jump on to doing things and follow through with it. So yes, I did. I signed back up for school and stuff like that. And all these doors started to open up for me when it came to a different career path, when it came to making more money than I was making before. It worked out. But I would have never known if I didn't start.
And that's the thing I want everybody to understand here. As she's talking, I'm thinking about the areas that I've changed in my life due to the fire under our booty, or like the urgency of the time, and how it benefited us. And again, when I was writing this up last night, I was like, yo, stop focusing on the word fear and focusing on how you overcame the fear and shared that information. And then as I started doing it, I was like, when you start focusing so much on how you have changed when you have faced the fear, it makes the new fears look crazy. They're like, yo, bro, why do you have this power over me?
Right. It's an
the thing about,
illusion.
yes, fear is a
It's
super
an
illusion
illusion.
to stop you from going to your next step. Ooh, fear is an illusion to stop you from going to your next step. And I started focusing on it. I looked at our second homecoming yesterday, the information from yesterday for my second homecoming that happened this weekend at my alma mater, Wilberforce University, first historically black college. You know the vibes. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it and I ain't going to apologize. Anyway, moving forward. But me going to college was a huge thing because I was the first person in my literal family, immediate family, to graduate from college. I had no money from college. I was scholarship thug. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Essay, Mr. Email the essay, Mr. Call UNICEF, NAACP, do all that. I couldn't write. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. And I looked at how I faced those fears. I thought about, yo, remember graduation? When I was researching this topic, I was like, what are the areas that I have changed in my life? And when I realized I focused on what I have already accomplished, and then I started, every time I focused on, yo, I remember I did that. And then I go back to, okay, what am I scared? Think about it. Focus on everything that you've already accomplished and then look at your current fear. Your current fear is going to start looking real lame in comparison to what you've already accomplished. So on top of things that help you face your fears, having a sense of urgency and focusing on your purpose, your clear purpose, and not caring about what people say, focusing on your past accomplishments so much that it gives you kind of like the rev. It's like the starter engine in the car. It's like, I can't face this fear. But then you start thinking about, nah, remember you graduated college and was the first in your family. Remember how hard it was when you created this show. Remember when you first became a parent. What am I doing? You know what I'm saying? Remember when, like, you got that job you wanted. Remember when you quit that job that you hated. Like, when I start focusing on all the accomplishments, my current fear diminishes because I'm using old strengths from the past, and that's a big bar.
Yes.
Civil Days music in the house. Everybody follow him now. He says, I've seen that hospitals do underpay minorities. That's a fact. He also said regarding the topic of investments and will it pay off as well. Big shout out to Bree on the check-in. Thank you, Bree. How you doing? And anybody that's watching this, if you want to support my content and support my show, please, like I always say, please, the best way to support my show is obviously subscribe and share my YouTube channel, but please donate to help build my show because I need cameras, I need a new setup, and I'm trying to make this bigger and better so I can travel and have shows on the road. Donate to my Cash App at $KaleafWins. Real talk, because I take my platform super serious, and I know that you have super value to share, and you are a multi-business owner. There's two last questions I'm going to ask you. As a single mother of more than one child, I'm not trying to put your info out there. While running multiple businesses, the first question is, and I'll get to the second question after you answer. The first question is, where does your resilience come from, and what tips and advice do you have to young women out there who are in situations that they feel like you said drowning in and they had to change?
Okay, so one of the things that I did mention before. Okay, I'm gonna touch the last. See, now this the ADD kicking in, right?
I got it too.
Right. So you said two questions. Let me see if I can remember both. So the last one I heard and remember that one. The first one kind of became vague, but
where do you get your resilience from? Is the first part? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna answer the first question. So when I was younger, I can't even say I was younger. I was raised by a narcissistic woman. I was told that I was stupid for majority of my life. And because my mother happened to be a psychology major, she believed she could use reverse psychology on everybody. I fell into that hole because I was told that I was stupid for so long that I really thought I was stupid. My mother embarrassed me so bad one day by telling her coworkers that I can't read past the third grade level. And she said this in front of me to them. And that's something I can never forget. So in the back of my head, I feel like I'm constantly trying to prove to her just to seek approval and to get praise that I'm not stupid, that I am smart. Damn, I'm smarter than her. But
say that.
The thing is, as much as she may have, the reverse psychology initially did not work on me. It took a lot of abuse, a lot of vulnerability, a lot of SAs for me to get to a point where I solely depended on myself and I didn't want to ever ask anybody for help.
Mm-hmm.
So since I didn't want to ask anybody for help, I made it my business to overwhelm myself with knowledge so that I could always do it myself.
Say that one more time again. Oh, that's a bar. I made it my duty to what?
Overwhelm myself with knowledge so that I could always do it myself. Just so I don't have to ask anybody. If it came to changing a tire, I am that woman that knows how to change my tire.
Go ahead, say that.
So when it comes to knowing what's wrong with my vehicle, I actually do not need a man to tell me. I actually looked things up, read about it, dealt with it. One time I had a vehicle and the brakes gave out on me on Linden Boulevard. Anybody that knows Linden Boulevard in Brooklyn.
We from New York. Listen. If you're not from New York, understand that that's not the place for your brakes to give out because it's about to be bad for you.
So because it's not that I know a little bit of everything instead of a lot of one thing. So I made it my business to learn a vehicle when I bought one. When I got my first vehicle, I was like, I'm gonna learn this. And I'm not gonna need a man to help me fix or figure anything out because I'm sick of this. I don't want to be taken advantage of. And when my brakes gave out on me, I tell you, I know what happened, why it happened, and I figured it out, didn't crash into anything, and that car stopped, okay?
Listen, on Linden Boulevard, though. On Linden Boulevard. Like, real quick, listen to what she said real quick. Everybody, before y'all miss it. She overwhelmed herself with knowledge. As I ran the clips before early in the show and throughout the show, literally, that is the enemy of fear. More information, because fear is what we replay in our mind over and over again as the soundbite that limits us. But more information destroys that current set of information that's in our mind. So she overwhelmed herself with knowledge. Then the brakes is oddly symbolic of that sense of urgency. But then she created the what? Let's get back to that chart. Like, the habit and the commitment for knowledge. Then it became a lifestyle when a crisis situation happened. And then she made the change. Why? Because from her mother's previous, putting her down, and then from being in a prior relationship with somebody who's putting her down for years, and things of that nature, it created the fire in her belly to make that change.
Yes. Now to answer your second question, as being a multiple business owner and with a 9-to-5, and a mother of a multitude of children.
Why you say multitude?
Because I feel like I have a squad. Like, I really feel like.
You want to say how many kids you have? Like, I'm not trying to blow you up, but you
I
said
have
multitude.
Four boys.
First of all, single mom, 4 boys, multiple business owner, a professor, and works a 9-to-5. You got to give it up. And that's why I asked you that last part of the question. Because here's the thing. Single moms don't get credit at all because we live in a ridiculous society. Because I was raised by a single mom, even though we don't have the best relationship, but I thank my mother for raising me. But single moms don't get
their flowers.
At all. At all. So I give you props because you consistently work hard. That's number one. And mind you, that's not brown nose. I'm a single parent son. I remember, I know what it feels like to have my mother cry when she gets paid because she's still in debt doing it by herself. And she gave away her whole paycheck after working 2 weeks to all these bills and she's getting no help. And she has 4 boys in Brooklyn, protecting them in New York. Our city is wild. I ain't talking about New York State. I'm talking about New York City. The 5 boroughs is different. It's different, but she has information being a multi-bit. That's called a mastery of multitasking. Any helpful information to somebody,
and I'm horrible at it,
but you're doing it.
but I'm
But
doing it.
You're horrible is somebody's lit. I repeat,
Right.
you're horrible is somebody's lit.
Right. So what I had to do, and this is where, in your chart, this is where the habit came in.
Mm-hmm.
I became extremely militant with my schedule. My time is very important. So making sure that my children are not neglected, I had to put them. Before I could put myself, I had to put my children on such a tight knitted schedule that it gave me time to be able to set things for myself.
Before you go on, everybody, military mindset. And I like it because I grew up around a bunch of black militants, back in the days in that building, the good old Dean Street, the vibes.
Mm-hmm.
That military mindset and having control over your time. You have control over your time. You have control of your future. First bar of what she said and tips of advice. Go ahead, continue.
Right. So I had to my kids' schedule, they wake up, it used to be 5:30 every morning. Now it's 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock every single morning. They get up, they do their routine, brush their teeth, wash their face, eat breakfast, get dressed. They are out of my house by 6:45.
Give it up.
Right? They're catching the bus no later than 6:50 because it's right across the street. 6:55. Everybody's off to school. They come home. The bus comes at 3:30, 4 o'clock. Everybody by at least 4:30, everybody is back in the house. They sit down and do their homework. Dinner is at 6. If they finish their homework and they ate dinner by 6, 7 o'clock, everybody is starting to take their showers and getting ready for bed. Everybody's in bed by no later than 8:30 because everybody has chores to do before they actually clean up time. When one person takes a shower, somebody's doing the dishes, somebody is sweeping the floor, somebody's fixing the cushions on the couch. It's like a whole system. So everybody's in the bed by 8:30 and the cycle starts over the next day. After 8:30, that is my time.
I was just about to go there. I was like, that after 8:30 is military mindset towards your schedule when you running businesses in your life.
Yes. I have to set it up that way or I will never have time for myself. And then my youngest being on the spectrum, it makes it a little bit more difficult because he needs extra attention.
Mm-hmm. It's understandable.
Right. So I had to do that. Now, even now with me, I went back to school. It's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Kids in school, I'm in school. When am I have time to do papers? This is when they say college students don't sleep. I had to sacrifice my beauty rest to get some of these papers typed. I had to sacrifices. What people fail to realize is that in order for there to be pleasure at the end, there has to be a sacrifice. In order for there to be any happiness at the end, there has to be a sacrifice. If there is no sacrifice, there's no reward. So I had to sacrifice my going out, my freedom. Not that I really have freedom, but I had to sacrifice that, sacrifice sleep, sacrifice where my money went, just so I could get a 3.9 GPA and all these other doors and scholarships and stuff be opened up to me. They offering to pay for my doctorate degree. All of these schools and entities want to pay for me to attend their school or their university. So, and work for them. So as far as I'm concerned, I had to make these sacrifices. There had to be discipline. I had to make it a habit. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. Because every single semester the schedule changed, so did my schedule, my personal schedule. I had to keep the kids' schedule the same, but I had to alter mine in order to revolve around the children's schedule.
Your success comes from your mastery of schedule, because the urgency of the priority of your children literally is the foundative anchor of your life, which is, I'm not going to lie, you're talking about family, but this sounds like a disciplined CEO lifestyle struggle and controlling the time in your day. And that's how you control your time in your life. And that's how you face your fears. Hold on.
Yes.
Roz Loco says, "Oh Lord, not Lyndon." That's hilarious. She's Civil Days Music says, "You are smart, be confident in the power within you. I do the same. When nobody wants to help, I do it myself." Rise Local says, "I need a self-assessment daily, like behavioral interview, in order to achieve the change goals I want to see. I have to identify what is my why." And Takia said it yesterday during our live stream. The Myers-Briggs personality assessment is a great way to do that, Rise Local.
Yes. Oh, there was something somebody said. I guess you read it too fast.
Well, this one right here, you are smart, be confident in the power within you. I do the same. When nobody wants to help, I do it myself. Is that what it is?
I think so. Because there was a thought that came in my head once you read that. Oh, yes. I got it. So let me tell you where the fear came in. There was those naysayers. There was those that's out there that's telling me that I'm neglecting my kids because I don't put more time into them. I don't take them out to eat. I don't take them to the park. And they was criticizing me as a parent.
Are they paying for the meals though? That's the first question I'm asking. Are you paying for the meals? If you're not, then shut your mouth.
But that's the problem. It's not as much as that is accurate. You don't pay any of my bills. You don't pay for anything for my children. So why should I care about what you think of me? But at the end of the day, every mother wants to be a good mother. Every parent, and I'm just going to say parent because I know there's men out there that actually have relationships with their children, wants to think and believe that they are doing the best that they can and they are providing whatever that child needs. If it's financially, it's also emotionally. And to hear that, it hurt my feelings because I feel like I had to tell myself, regardless of the negativity, but this is temporary. The sacrifice that I am making, where, yes, I've set up the schedule to be so militant with my children and they see me for a short period of time throughout the day. But this is temporary because once I finish, I had to make that sacrifice to sacrifice time with my kids for the end goal. Once I finished, look at me. I'm sitting in my house. My kids went off to school, and when they come back, I'm going to still be in this house. So I had to put in that time. I had to sacrifice myself at that moment, but it was temporary. I had to.
No, Glad Fam Captain says morning. People need to start supporting people instead of criticizing them. I'll be honest with you, maybe it's from being from Brooklyn. You know, that should be the goal. But in Brooklyn, we are militaristic minded. You know, we don't depend on no external support. We just go for it. Just
do it right.
It's a New York thing. So mastery of your time, mastery of your schedule, sacrificing critiques from others. You face all those boundaries, and you are still grown. What would the change of you today say to the non-change person of you 10 years prior?
Ooh, you said 10 years? I would have told him, get out, run. Run.
She's talking about her previous relationship. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted.
People don't change, they adjust. Run. Run for the hills. Focus on you. If anything, this goes back to managing time. I decided that no one deserves this much time, but this is what I gave myself because I love hard. I am only going to give an individual 2 years of my time.
Can you imagine if we treated our goals and our jobs with the same mindset? Real talk.
Yes, I had to, because I felt like I was drowning. This is where the drowning came in. There was the fear, and then there was the hope. Like hope and fear is just synonymous with each other. And I was hoping he was going to change. I was hoping things would get better. And then because I was in such a crippled position by being with him, that's where the fear of, can I do this on my own?
And
can
hold
I take
on.
Hmm?
That I didn't mean to cut you. I
No.
want to also use that as an analogous to a job that we're comfortable in that treats us toxic and keeps us stuck in. Listen to what she said. Hoping it'll change the relationship is the same thing like hoping the supervisor understands, hoping HR would wake up, hoping that you wouldn't get hated on by your coworkers, hoping and wishing for the company to change. Like she said, you cannot sit in the hope. Hope and fear are synonymous in the same areas because they give. Fear is false experiences appearing real. I think everybody in New York and Jersey and things of that nature, we have heard that since we were a child. Fear is false experiences appearing real. Fear is false. And I'll put this comment up, not to talk about relationships, but Civil Days Music says a man knows within 6 months to a year if he wants to marry you. And guess what? Here's the goal. Don't go there, kid. Here's the goal. Think about that with your job. Think about that, everybody, with your career path. Think about everybody with your goal list. You know what you really want to do and really want to stay in the purpose of 6 months to 2 years. It depends. It's different for everybody. But why are we not treating our goals and what we're trying to do like we treat our previous relationships? As quick as we can dub somebody trying to get us our phone number or be in a relationship with us, why can't we dub opportunities? Dub by translation means cancel things that don't suit us or benefit our lives.
Or why do we give so many chances to things that are so not worth it, but the things that are worth it, we give up on much faster?
It's a fact. That's a true fact. Glam Cam's captain says, my oldest was in daycare from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Woof. I felt horrible, but I got that master's and now she's spoiled from it. Listen, investments. But see, that's an asset instead of liabilities. Asset is your children. Liabilities is everything else but. You know what I'm saying? Literally, that's what we're talking about. And last statement you want to stand and show real quick, most definitely, before I close everything out.
Oh, I wanted to say my story. I wanted to actually give my story on where the anxiety, the unknown, the fear, and everything took place in my life. So I'm not sure how much people, if you live in Brooklyn and you may understand the gentrification and how a lot of the snow bunnies was coming into the communities and taking over, right? So let me explain.
Yo, you did not say snow bunnies.
I'm sorry. But clear people, right? They was coming over and taking over certain areas because Manhattan is drowning. Moving forward, they were buying all the property in Brooklyn and kicking the minorities out by boosting the rent up so high to the point that like we couldn't afford it. Mm-hmm. So this happened to my building. I live in one of those newly built it's condo like it's condo-ish, right? Okay. It's only 3 apartments to one building. And I'm gonna call it out. My new landlords are Asian, well, let me just say Chinese and British. So the wife is Chinese and the husband is British. Mm-hmm. They are not from this country, but they came over to this country and had a baby so that they could buy property here.
Which is a smart investment for anybody coming to a new country. For real, smart investment.
Because the minute you have a child here in America, America gives you citizenship. So
if I went to India, I would feel the same way. I would love to take a part of that, but that's neither here nor there. Go ahead.
Right. So they decided to purchase my building. They wanted to jump my rent from 16, which I've been paying for I don't know how long, for my 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, to 2,500. They was trying to, now at this point in time in my life, my husband at the time became disabled and couldn't work because he had a heart condition. And it was left for me to hold down everything from then on. I took the liberty to notify my new landlords. Now, they didn't know me. They didn't get to know me. They already discriminated against me, but that's another story. They didn't know me. They didn't know anything about me. They just knew that they couldn't pronounce my name. And they knew I was a Black woman. And they couldn't understand why I wasn't on public assistance. So
Are
when
you
my
paying
husband...
that now?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Are you paying that now?
Paying what?
That are you? Let's get to that part.
Right. So, this was pre-pandemic. So when my husband became disabled, he was disabled for 2 years. He had had surgery on his heart and everything like that. But once he became disabled, I applied for disability for him. And anyone that knows, that's the process. I notified my new landlords to let them know that my husband is currently disabled. We were not behind in our rent. I just was notifying them that he became disabled. We applied for certain assistance, and the rent will be delayed for the month of December. It wasn't even 5 days after I sent that message, I got 6 eviction notices. So that's where the fear came in. That's when the anxiety kicked in. Because in my head, I was like, can she do this? And a lot of times they look at Black people as ignorant and not knowing their rights. So because of fear, I probably would have picked up and looked for somewhere else to live, and I would have been paying more rent than I was paying there.
If you choose to stay immobilized within the fear instead of doing something about it.
Right.
Which is another gem.
So, because I am who I am and I have evolved, I decided to open a book. And the book was the landlord tenant law book for New York City. I read that book 3 times from front to back. Mm-hmm. And when I went to court, because these people have money, they didn't even show up. They paid a lawyer to be there on their behalf. This lawyer came up to me and was like, okay, so how long you think, before we go in front of the judge, how long do you think you need to get out? I was like, excuse me? I said, you know what? I'll play this game with you. I'm going to need 2 years. He was like, oh, that's not possible. I said, you could tell a dummy that, but you can't tell me that. He was like, what makes you think you could get 2 years? I said, because I have a disabled husband, 2 asthmatic children, and I'm the only one working. I could push this, and I don't know if you realize this. This will be 2 years. I'm going to be living in an apartment rent-free. Because the minute one court document ends up on my doorstep, I have the right not to pay any rent. And I could withhold the rent until I get in front of a judge.
Everybody, listen to what she says before you might feel you get lost in the story. And what's going on, everybody? My name is KaleafWins, host of the Morning Motivation Show. The topic of today is how do you get past your fears. She just showed a great example of how when things happen in your life, like it happens to all of our life, when we feel like we might get immobilized by the fear because the fire under our butt or the trauma was happening around us is so great, we don't know what we do. She chose not to stay stuck, and she chose to do the research, put in the work so that she can best protect herself and her family. And she has lived rent-free for 2 years, am I correct, with the knowledge that she attained from the itch.
More than 2 years. I ain't get there yet.
Are you sure you want to be talking about this on the internet? That's all I'm saying. Like,
no,
you sure you want to...
Because the thing about it is information, and it's not like I did anything illegal. It's about just knowing your rights. The anxiety was there. The fear was there. I was afraid because I did not know where me or my children was going to go.
4 children.
Right? I didn't know where we was going to go. I'm like, what's going to happen? I didn't know, but I wanted to know what I could do. And at the time, here's the next thing. At the time, I did not know. See, the lack of knowledge will have people digging their own graves and jumping in them. Because I worked for CUNY, I am
City
under a
University of New York.
union, right? I am under a union that provides lawyers, and I did not know that. If you are under a union, whatever union, it could be DC 37, it could be local 1, local 2, local 3, your unions, most likely your dues that you're paying is paying for lawyers for you. So I didn't think I could afford a lawyer. I didn't think I could get a lawyer or anything. So I actually did reading and research on my own.
But see, again, let's get to that point. I'm going to reiterate it. The biggest enemy of fear is knowledge. Like real talk, studying up. But again, I'm going to put it out that everybody watching this, you have to put in the work. I'm sorry. This is not the motivation fluff show. This is the morning motivation show with information. Stop acting like you don't have to put in the work to get to what you want to get in a certain part of your life. Do you understand what I'm saying? So to hurry up and finish, because I know I'm going over the time possibly. But
I did the research. I read the tenant landlord manual back to front 3 times. I didn't want to miss anything. I highlighted what needed to be highlighted. This is a PDF. People could download it on their phone and they could read their rights. Now, once I got all this information, I was able to tell their landlord that I'm going to stay in this apartment rent-free for 2 years unless your clients pay me to move. Other than that, I ain't going anywhere, and I'm going to prolong this as much as I can. And I said, oh, yes. The next thing, one thing that they do have in this manual, if your landlord accepts $1 from you, they can never evict you.
Knowledge is power.
Right? So I found this out. So then I immediately had HRA provide me with documentation for my landlords to fill out. So whatever one-shot deal or whatever they could give. The landlords filled out this information. That forfeited their case in its entirety. So they had to close that case. Little did they know, I was in the court in the next floor above suing them for discrimination. I made sure that anytime my landlords contacted me, it was through email. So everything that was showing any type of racism, discrimination, or anything was all in writing.
Again, knowledge is power. Are you willing to do the research to get past the fears in your life? Again, I'm going to always analogize this to the whole topic, because think about what she said. For anybody that's dealing with a fear right now, a discrimination at your job right now, discrimination in your apartment building right now, things that are stopping you right now, you're going to have to put in the work. Like I was always taught as a kid, in order to learn how to cheat, you have to read the rule book.
Yes.
That's just a fact.
Even down when you just mentioned job. You signed a contract to be an employee there. I promise you didn't read the fine print. You probably don't even know what your job criteria entails, but you're doing more than it. You have to, if you're confused about certain things, there is the HR manual too. Go and read what your rights are as an employee. If you don't, you're going to always be stuck in the situation you are, afraid to take days off because you think if I take this day off and I need this day off, I'm going to get fired.
Hold that point. You heard what she said? If you don't, say that one more time. If you don't.
What? If you don't.
You're going to be. If you don't make the effort
okay.
to read what you're getting into, you're going to be susceptible to somebody else's blocking your situation. And again, this is goals entirely. For instance, when it came to being a content creator, I love reading terms and conditions. I love reading community guidelines, and I like reading the fine print of every social media app, and I'm on 12 social media apps. That's a fact, 12. I'm not going to read them off, but I can. knowledge is power, and like Civil Days Music says, you have to CYA. If you don't know what CYA is, then look it up on Google. Glam Fam Campus. Everybody follow her page now and follow Civil Days Music YouTube page now. Gotta have those paper documents. Go, girl. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Everybody take this information. This isn't some sort of prolonged story. There is information on how you can face your fears and tackle things that are in your life. And people always say, knowledge is power, knowledge is power. No, listen to what she said. You got to read the fine print of a job. You have to read the fine print of everything.
So
what's the hold on real quick. What's the fine print of what you're trying to get past in life? What is the fine print? What is the fine print? For everybody watching the show, what is the fine print areas that you need to tackle? Like I'm not trying to sound like I'm hooking this to a theme, but it's just true.
And you got to force yourself to read it. And that's the problem that a lot of people have. Y'all been subjectifying yourselves to these memes and social media where your attention span only lasts no more than 30 seconds and y'all can't read one page on a newspaper, on one page in a magazine because you become disinterested. You need to force yourself to read these things that is not entertaining to you.
People are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And I just really, we're gonna talk after this, but just thank you for being part of the show. You gave some great gems as usual. Most definitely, we will talk after this. I know you got things to do. Give me a quick 20 minutes of your time. Everybody, give it up to Big Kia. Please shout out your social media information and everything like that, so that people can follow you and why they should follow you. And I really hope it's the business stuff you're gonna mention. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yes. Yes, but to make that long story short, not only was I able to live in this apartment rent free for 4 years, my landlords had to pay me for pain and suffering and lost wages.
Wow.
Because I was able to sue them for discrimination and was able to prove it because of the emails.
And like Silver Days Music says, knowledge in the application and knowledge is wisdom. You have to do the work. I will admit I've fallen victim to not wanting to read as much as I used to. We've all fallen victim to that at times. That's a fact.
Absolutely. And that's the problem that a lot of us have. And the issue is a lot of other cultures know this about us. So since a lot of other cultures are being taught that Black people don't like to read, fight against that stigma.
Mm-hmm. Listen, whatever you want to do and you're scared of, you got to do the research. Listen, I'm going to bring the content because I missed the content. Mm-hmm. I pay attention to every update in terms of service, community guidelines on every app. I pay attention. I pay attention to every free workshop. I'm always part of every free workshop. Most of my weeks is free workshop training in the 12 social media apps that I'm always on. I'm always on the cusp of everything. I like reading, and I'll keep it simple. I'll give a quick story, real talk. I like reading because when I was 12 years old, my mother took me to an office picnic at her boss's house for a German insurance company. His daughter tried to holler at me. I wasn't attracted to her. She told her pops I dissed her. I did. I said, no, I don't like you because you ugly. That was bad to say, but I was 12, whatever. He went up to my mother's friend's car, grabbed me by the neck, and choked me in front of my mother. She didn't do anything because she wanted to keep her job. And then he says, you're not worth it. You'll probably be gone by the time you're 21. And if I put something in a book, you'll never read it. And I said, that was odd. After a strangulation. That was an odd statement. He told me that. And when I looked at my mother in disgust, I looked at him and I looked at nobody trying to help me. I said, oh, I got strangled and somebody told me what they fear the most. They told me what they fear the most. A person who was educated and knows stuff. From that day forth, from 12 years old, I read everything. The New York Times, the Wild Post, the Daily News, going to the library. I still read because reading breaks the chains of fear and reading breaks the chains of being in the thought process. Our fears are nothing but loops of thoughts connected to old experiences that keep us stuck in a particular stasis. But I have to immerse myself in information. We have to immerse ourselves in knowledge because the enemies, whether physical, mental, emotional, or just in your family, bars, will try to keep you in the prison of where they want you to be because they're afraid of who you're about to become. And that strangulation helped me so much at 12 years old because it showed me what he feared in me the most.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of
cannot believe
times,
I shared that. I can't believe I shared that on the internet, but that's just true.
yeah, but
That's hard.
that's traumatizing. And when you mention fears and where people could see you going, it's like sometimes other people's perception or ideas is limited, and you can't allow other people's limitations limit you. So that's really important. Just because
Glam Fam Kansas, read those rights as a parents for your kids to school too. They'll take advantage of limits. Listen, every week. Listen, you don't know. I'm going through wars on my daughter's school right now. Listen, if you are a parent, especially a parent of color, and you have a kid within the school, whether you have a daughter or a son, these schools will try to weaponize narratives to stymie your children in the future. I stay in a New York City Board of Ed information regarding that. I stay in that information because we have to weaponize what has been weaponized against us. Now, again, this is a fear show, and facing it, what do we learn through the conversations? You have to, I don't know how you worded it earlier in the conversation, you have to inundate yourself with so much knowledge so you can learn about it. Second, you can't just stay there. Fear will keep you immobile. You got to take action and move towards it. Third, you have to just know your rights in any situation, employer, relationship, building contract and stuff like that. And you have to identify your fear. You have to identify your fear and then look at the root of it. Look at the root of it at all. Identify your, and that's why I had this this part of my tiles. Identify your fear. This first step in using your fears to accomplish more in life is to identify them and take some time to think about the things that scare you the most and write them down. This will help you understand what you need to work on. And when you, a lot of times when we write down our fears, we will see how small they are because they appear bigger in our brain. You know what I'm saying? Second, you have to face your fears. Once you've identified your fears, the next step is to face them. This may be uncomfortable, but it's essential if you want to overcome them. Start by taking small steps gradually, working your way to more significant challenges. For instance, when I started this show, it was on TikTok. I was like, great, this is cool. Then I got comfortable. I was like, I don't want to stay comforted in this little box that I'm in, talking to the same people in the same type of environments. Then I took my show and I was streaming on 4 different apps as we speak right now. By the way, Key, if you didn't know that, so I had to just not be comfortable. I like being uncomfortable because uncomfortability is the birthplace of change. Then like I did with the whole episode that happened when I was 12, you have to use fear as a motivator. Fears can be a powerful motivator if you know how to use it. Use your fears to push yourself to take action and work towards your goals. Let me put this to that incident where I was strangled by my mother's boss. I have to dump energy somewhere. As soon as it happened, I was embarrassed. My neck hurt, my body hurt. I was crying, but I have to take energy and put it somewhere. And that skill that I got as a kid, now as a grown man, anytime I go through a trauma, I got to put it somewhere because if it sits in you, it's going to be like acid. It's going to burn through your life. Then this is an important step. You got to visualize what you want, your success. Visualization is a powerful tool that can help you overcome your fears. Imagine yourself succeeding in the face of your fears and use this visualization to motivate yourself. For all those people, and I'm going to bring this back real quick. For all those people that think visualization is hokey, for all those people that think that I don't take this seriously, everything I have is because I saw it in my brain first. And I'm sorry to be an infant with the analogy, but it's true. When I was a kid and I learned how to talk to extremely attractive women, that gave me a literal mind hack when it came to my goals and facing my fears. Any guy knows this. You see somebody super hot. They look so good. What is the first thought that guys that hits our mind? We go, oh my gosh, I'm not good for it. Look at how I'm dressed. Look at how I look. I'm not good for it. But when I was real young, and my West Indian homies put me in a corner of Notion and Fulton right in front of the KFC every day after school. When the train let out, it created a life hack when it comes to facing my fears. I had to face my fears or I was going to get beat down by my friends. That was the motivator. I was like, yo, if you don't talk to 30 girls, you're going to get beat down. But after talking, after rejection, after rejection, after rejection, after rejection, then it became acceptance, then it became acceptance, then it became acceptance, and nearly became a father at 16. Another conversation of the day. But the point is, I hear you, real talk, on multiple occasions. I was a whore. But the point is, this is about facing your fears. As a kid, I was pushed in front of a situation, notion of phone in front of the KFC. You know how crowded it is on rush hour. If you're from Brooklyn, you know. And I was put in a position where I had to face my fears by talking to the most attractive woman coming out that train station. But that gave me the mental skill as an adult to say, you know what? When you keep on facing something you're scared of every day and doing it every day, and I was used to be scared. And if y'all from New York and anybody's from New York and knows Brooklyn during rush hour standing in front of a train station, the level of how much you're going to get dubbed and disrespected trying to holler at somebody is at an all-time high. That exercise taught me was, in order to change, you have to embrace rejection and you have to visualize your success. And it took a lot. It's an emotional, you'll get ripped out of your emotions, but I had to visualize her smile, visualize her smirk, visualize her writing the number and it working, visualize the date and visualize the night. If you don't keep, I learned that skill early. If I don't keep my end goal in mind, then nothing is going to occur. If you can't see the outcome, and if I don't focus more on the outcome of visualizing what I want more than the trauma of the rejection, then I will never win. So you have to visualize your success because it's a powerful tool to help you overcome your fears. This ain't hokey doke. I just gave you an example on my life. Next, you have to reframe your fears. Reframing your fears can help you see them in a different light. Instead of seeing them as obstacles, try to view them as opportunities for growth and learning. Again, for the pessimists out there who think this is hokey doke, at the end of the day, energy is energy. Fear is an energy. And you know how I know it's true? And she just said it. When she got those eviction notices, the fear was like a hot, wet, heavy blanket. Boom. What am I going to do? Boom. She had to reframe. She says, I'm going to read a book from pillar to post. You know what I'm saying? From front to back, repeatedly. And she had to reframe her fear. So she had a bunch of energy, a bunch of stress, a bunch of anxiety at all-time high. But she had to refrain her. No, I took that, oh my God, what am I going to do to you ain't going to do that. I repeat. She took that, oh my God, what am I going to do to I'm not going to repeat that. You have to reframe your fear because it's an energy. You know what I'm saying? Next, embrace failure. Failure is a common fear that holds many people back, and embracing failure can use it as a learning experience to help you overcome and achieve more in life. I'm a big fail forward type of person. I used the bagging women conversation earlier. That skill taught me so much because when I was like 16, I can't say this on the internet, I was on the stock market, doing things that I was too young to do, what I'm saying, making phone calls. I was dope with sales. I like rejection. I fell forward. Failing gives me more information than sitting and thinking about it or sitting and talking to the same people. Or like, again, I don't like talking to people who have not done what I'm not trying to do. Real talk. Right. Me and Kia talk. She puts me on iron sharpens iron. I talk to her. I put her on to certain things. Iron sharpens iron. If you can't benefit anything in my life in terms of like helping me get further, then unless we knew each other since we was kids, what are we talking to each other about? He ain't trying to bag me. I ain't trying to bag her. We got things going. You know what I'm saying? But our relationship is educationally beneficial to us both. She cool, but we learn something from every time we talk. But you have to embrace failure. You have to fail forward. Try, fail, learn. Try, fail, learn. That's that thing I want to put out there. Next, like Kia said earlier about making small lists, you have to set realistic goals. Now, again, everybody's realistic and everybody's realistic. Don't think that my realistic is your realistic. Stop thinking that it's, what I say is realistic to you is realistic to you. That's different. Setting realistic goals can help you overcome fears by breaking them down into smaller, more manageable tasks. This will make it easier to take action and move forward towards your goals. The reason I think this is important, and I'll say this, I use this as an example. When I was on TikTok and I had this show, it was going well. I had a lot of people that, and again, this ain't no shot. It's just what it is what it is. I had a lot of people coming up to the show and stuff like that, coming up on it and things of that nature. And I was like, I want more. I want more. I'm scared to go to like other platforms. I want more. I want more than just being on this app. I want more than just to have these simple relationship conversations. I want more. But I had to break them down into simple goals. What does more look like? How can I set it to smaller goals? So I started live streaming on multiple platforms. I was streaming on Rumble, streaming on Twitter, streaming on YouTube, streaming on Facebook, streaming on like any app that had a stream, I was streaming. But I was failing, trying, failing, trying, failing, trying. But again, I have to fail forward. People look at failure as such a scary thing. No, I would rather, again, goes back to my training. We can call it as a child. When I was scared of extremely attractive women, I used to stay in a stasis. But then when my Rastafarian homie says, if you don't talk to somebody on this corner every day, we're going to beat you up. If you don't get like 10 phone numbers, like real talk, it was like literally, I was going to get beat up every day after school if I didn't get like 10 phone numbers. I was out there for 5 hours, like real talk. My mother used to get mad at me for coming home late. It was like that. But I was failing. This. Get out of my face. You too bony, you too this, you look broke, you too this, you too broke, number. You ugly, ugly, number. You too this, you too this, you too this, number. You too this, you too this, you did this, number. When I hit my 10.
It's like, right, every 5 no's, there's a 1 yes.
From when I first started, it was like 35 no's, but you know what I'm saying? But that was a skill. This is how facing your fear. That exercise showed me how to face what I'm scared of dead on. I was a terror from ages 16 and on. I was horrible. Like I was bagging people's mothers and all that. I was really bad, like really bad. But I acquired a skill that helped me become like leader of sales floors. I've had sales supervising jobs where I've led a floor of 250 salespeople, and then I'm getting on their phone closing. When it comes to our fears, and how do we face them? And what am I talking about? What does that have to do with the topic? You have to face your fears daily, but take your small steps. Don't take my big steps. Take your small steps, but if you take them daily, listen, if I eat...
You can add something else to that list.
Yeah, if I eat high sodium products in a little portion every day, I'm guaranteed high blood pressure in 6 months, right? So if you take small steps towards what you want to do, you're going to reach the goal, whether negative or positive. And final thought for the show, just think about how great your life is going to look when you conquer everything that's holding you back. What's your bank account going to look like? What would your relationships look like? And what would your entire life look like? Why are you letting your fears take away from your dream life? Again, when I write these panels, I try to tell people all the time, this isn't hokey doke. If you look at it as hokey doke, think about what you've accomplished, whether it's graduated from undergrad. Hey, whether it's raising kids and being successful and not being as much as a mess as your parent did to you. That's a goal. People don't understand that that's a goal. Maybe it's you're the first person in your family to have and maintain a bank account. People be looking past that like, oh, that's right. Some people, maybe it's balancing the bank book and nobody in your family knows how to balance a bank book. I repeat, just think about how great your life is going to look when you conquer your fears that are holding you back. What is your life going to look like? And when you focus on what your end goal is so much, then it's going to help you deal with the fears in your life. They don't have to have power over you if you don't let it. They don't. They don't at all. And like, I'll be honest with you, this is the first time I did this at the end of the show, but you're going to get the end of the show bop with me. You ready for the end of the show bop? You know what that is? Here we go. Hey, thank you everybody for coming to the Morning Motivation Show. I'm your host, KaleafWins. You feel me? Hey, just bounce. Just bounce. Just bounce. Just bounce. Thank you, Kia, for joining the show. Thank you, Civil Days Music Clan for Campus. To support my show, please hit me up on the Cash App at KaleafWins. I have a son coming in 4 weeks. If you love me, go to my link in bio and hit up the baby registry. You heard? Thank you, Kia, for joining the show. Just bounce. Bounce. Come on, give me a bop before you get out today. Just bounce. Hey. Everybody have a great day. Now everybody have a great day. Everybody have a great day. Peace.